Hello everyone, my name is Taylor Edrington with Royal Gorge Anglers in Canyon City, Colorado, the oldest fly shop and fly fishing guide service and only Orbis endorsed outfitter on the Arkansas River Basin. Thanks so much for viewing today. It is the first week of June here in South Central Colorado, enjoying some great weather and kind of moving into the prime summer season. We are currently still seeing some runoff conditions on the Arkansas River Basin on the Freestone section and a little bit heavier release on the Arkansas tailwater currently. Very typical for the first week of June. In fact, we typically see snowmelt and runoff conditions through the third and fourth week of June on an average year. This year is not an average year, folks. We've got extremely low snowpack. As of today's date, we've got less than 40% of our average snowpack left. So really not a whole lot of snow left up there. We're already starting to see our tributary gauges start to come down off the peak. Now we will start to see a little bit more release water from Twin Lakes and Clear Creek reservoirs. We'll still see some elevated flows over the course of the next week, I would imagine. But really, throughout the runoff period here, which has been going on for the last 2 weeks or so, we haven't seen crazy dirty water, not a lot of debris as compared to years past. We're probably going to peak around 2,000 CFS at the Wellsville gauge, which really isn't a whole lot. And so, we seem to be kind of on the backside of runoff, and we could be fishing edges within about a week or 10 days, which is very early. Right now we're thinking about the middle of June, we may see clear edges and receding water on the Arkansas Freestone, which means that magical fishing in a barrel time period is really closing on us quickly. Fishing in a barrel is one of those terms that we've used for that clearing edges time period. Over the 30 years that we've been guiding here, it's one of our favorite time periods to fish the river, whether it be walking the edges or float fishing the river. Flows can still be elevated. They could be 1,000, 1,500, or 2,000 CFS. The key thing to understand is that all the fish are pinned against the shorelines. When the river gets big, fish find softer pockets, areas of least resistance against the shorelines. They're not out in the meat of the current, in the center current tongue. They are in those softer water areas behind boulders or gentle seams against the edges. And this makes for a very opportune moment for anglers, because really we know where all the fish are at. Instead of being very spread out like they are in the spring, all those fish are being pushed into this small window against the shoreline. And they'll stay there, typically through the first few weeks of July. When we start to see the river, come down below 1,000 CFS in the 700 CFS window, fish will begin to spread out again. And that may happen a little bit sooner this year just because we have lower water and lower snowpack than our average years. But we need to be prepared for what's coming rapidly. And so all of this, the flies that I'm going to show you here today and kind of techniques that we've discussed are very valid through the first few weeks of July. So if you're tuning into this later in June or even the first few weeks of July, understand that these are the techniques that we're continuing to use until we start to see fish key on other bugs or start to see fish spread out dramatically, and then we kind of change our mindset a little bit, okay? Until then, We're working shorelines. We're looking for softer pockets, softer water. Just think areas of least resistance. That's where the fish are going to be. Trout are lazy by nature. They don't want to be out in the heavy current. Okay, so you're not going to find them there in this post runoff time period through kind of the first few weeks of July, maybe even through the last few weeks of July. Every year's a little bit different. We'll change our reports accordingly. But for now, we're kind of keying on that tactic of working close to the bank, working softer pockets, pocket water. Dry dropper is key. This is going to be one of our rigging techniques that's very, very productive. Dry dropper, dry copper dropper, focusing on stonefly adults, focusing on terrestrials. There's still some crane flies out there. There'll be a lot of hoppers. We'll have then also dramatic hatches of caddis, varying caddis. Yellow Sallies will be big time players for us in the months of June, July, and even August. Pale morning duns, our PMD population is huge on this river, so that will be another major player. And those will be the bugs you want to focus on. Full life cycle, so okay, nymph, emerger, and adult. Really focusing on that nymph as a dropper fly for our dry dropper systems, and then our adults for that kind of hatch matching time period. Now, do also remember as we move into summer prime time, end of June, July, late July, and even into early August, fishing early and late is key, folks. Fish really, really eat hard in the low light time periods. Early in the morning, sun up to say 10, 11 a.m., kind of turn off in the middle of the day, and then heavy feeding in the evenings as well. A great time to be out there, whether you want to launch for an evening float or just go out and fish for a few hours in the evening walking the banks. That is an excellent time period from, say, 4 o'clock to dark, because a lot of the bugs are returning to the river during that time period. We see a lot of hatches in that window of time. Again, low light is key in the summertime, folks. Don't show up to the river at 10 a.m., 11 a.m. in the heat of the day and think that's going to be the time to really be productive. It's going to be tough for you. Higher air temp, the sun is bright, different things like that. Okay, so enjoy the river during this window of time. It's one of our favorite windows of time from post runoff, which is upcoming through the last few weeks of June and first few weeks of July, maybe even into August with these conditions. Fish are very, very opportunistic feeders. Many times you'll be fishing a dry dropper rig, you'll hook a fish on the dry and you'll have another fish chasing to eat the dropper. That's how dramatic the feeding can be at times on freestone rivers like the Arkansas in summer prime time. Fish the edges, fish what you feel comfortable fishing. Don't wade into the middle of the river. There's no need to. We don't want you out there in heavier flows. Although this year we're probably going to see a lot easier wading conditions than our average year. Just understand what your limitations are and enjoy, all of the water we have to offer as we move into summer prime time. As always, I'd like to spotlight some flies for the Arkansas Freestone, but understand a lot of these flies can be used all over the place in the summer. Very similar hatches on tailwaters and freestones alike in the summer window. So definitely take a look at these patterns, and do remember that all of these patterns I've discussed today are available on our website to purchase, and we have 1 or 2 day delivery to the Front Range of Colorado and 2-day delivery most everywhere in the US. 2 to 3 day delivery free of charge for a $50 purchase or more. So check out these flies on the website after we've looked at them, or you can call a phone order in, or of course we'd love to see you in the fly shop. Let's take a peek. Alrighty, folks. So as you can see, a lot of different bug activity. A lot of different tactics for rigging. Of course, streamer fishing is so enjoyable in kind of that post runoff summer prime time window as we move through late June into July and even into August. Streamer fishing is just exceptional in the summer on the Arkansas Freestone and many other freestones alike. You'll notice we've got a good representation of attractor dry flies, golden stones, through the terrestrial area. We've got, our kind of attractor nymphs here. Still plenty of nymphing to be done in the deeper runs and deeper pockets and seams. For double nymphing rigs, we're going to look at these in a second. And then your key hatch matching nymphs here, focusing on caddis, PMDs, and yellow sallies, our adults, and then our streamers. So let's one by one kind of look at these patterns, starting with our golden stonefly population, which will be hatching prolifically here as we move into the middle of June, into late June and July. This is a true golden stone, one of my favorites. Up top, we're fishing those in a 10 or 12. This is a carnage stone, another great producer up top. And again, keys here, very visible and will support weight on a dry dropper system. This is Swisher's PMX, foam-bodied PMX. Again, very visible, supports weight well, great attractor, dry fly. We've got a couple different chubby colors, chubby Chernobyls. Of course, key favorites here on the Arkansas, one tan, and I do like a darker body, especially if the water's still tinted. That I do like the darker contrast that purple chubby offers us. Into the hoppers, one of my true favorites and a real kind of standby here at the fly shop is the beefcake hopper. Great pattern, very, very light, lifelike. That thing is a great hatch matcher. So that's a tan guy there. Here's a more green with a yellow kind of underbody. That's Charlie Craven's Morningwood hopper. Love his Morningwood Stonefly as well. So again, here's our attractor dries to run dry dropper with or just on their own. When we need to nymph and get a little bit deeper, rubber leg stones are going to be key as we move into summer prime time. This is your Stone Bomb, Frank Smethurst Stone Bomb. Fantastic fly, through the summer months. This is Pennington's improved stone, rubber leg version. Again, rubber legs are going to be key. Here's kind of our Jimmy legs. This is tied on a jig hook for those that like to Euro nymph. That's a fantastic fly. Don't forget our crane fly larva. They're going to be great producers, whether it be mimicking an actual crane fly larva or bigger caddis, free swimming caddis, and different bugs. This is just such a buggy imitation. And this is the Mochek crane fly in olive. Guide's Choice Hares here. You'll hear us talk about this throughout the summer months into the fall. This is one of our steady producing attractor nymphs, whether you throw it under a dry or whether you fish it lead fly. We've got our Psycho Prince rubber leg, another kind of standby fan favorite here for an attractor nymph. In the caddis, the GTI caddis is probably my number one in the summer months. Great kind of tan caddis representation. Will fish as a free swimmer. It'll fish as a case caddis. We've got the roller caddis, which is Shag Uncle's fly. Will continue to fish well throughout the summer months and, of course, great in the spring and the fall. When we move into the PMD category, we kind of start with our true breadwinner, which is Juan Ramirez's tungsten split back Slim Shady. And that's got 2 tungsten beads and just kills it on all of our watersheds as we move into the summer months. We've got a crackback here. This is one of our PMD favorites, kind of a pheasant tail style design with that trigger in the thorax. We've got, you know, the bullet style series PMD here. This is, you know, another fantastic attractor, you know, to run under a dry, or to use as a point fly in a Euro rig if we're fishing, you know, slower, softer pockets. In the Yellow Sally category, this is a 2-bit Sally and really my #1 Yellow Sally nymph. We fish these pretty small, 14, 16, but they're real durable, great dropper fly. If you want to do a double nymph rig, fun to fish up top as well. Iron Sally, one of our true breadwinning producer flies as we move into the Yellow Sally season, which, like I said, stretches pretty far, you know, from June through July and into August on the Arkansas. Don't forget our hatch matching dries, because you can really find pockets of feeding fish at times that really will key to these guys. Tan caddis are pretty prevalent on the Arkansas and surrounding drainages in the summer months. This is our better foam caddis, tan. This is a resting caddis. This is Alec Gerbeck's fly, tan. PMDs, Morish's Mayday, one of my favorites, and this is tied on a competition hook, so this will be a size 17 or 19. Hackle Stacker PMD, a really great hatch matching dry. If they're getting picky on PMDs, this is my go-to. Yellow Sallies, this is called the Half Down Sally. This is probably my #1 single dry, you know, Yellow Sally representation. It's got that red butt, floats really well because it's got that foam, you know, thorax. And then we've got our Foam Sally, which is a killer fly here to do dry dropper with. Also equally as good, you know, to fish single dry. And then more of a true hatch matcher, this is the Headlight Sally, which is a really popular fly on the Arkansas. And then into streamers, folks. And streamers, man, go big or go home in the summer months. I really like to fish bigger flies. You can see these, we've got several tandem 2-hook flies here. We've got a gray kind of natural swim coach. This is Charlie Craven's, the black and purple swim coach. These are 2 great flies. Single hook design, this is the Lunch Money in the brown trout color. Do really well with that fly in the summer. Kelly Gallup's Flatliner, that's a tandem hooked fly there. I like to fish that on a sink tip. Olive and yellow's one of my favorite, you know, colors, but I also love this fly in the olive and white. I don't know if you can see that there. The olive and white is a great color as well in that Flatliner. Dirty Hippie for a single hook fly. This is a great producer. I like the Dirty Hippies in the olive and white, in black, in brown, you know. And then if we're gonna trail, do a tandem rig to where we're running maybe one of these single hook lead attractor streamers up front and running a trailer. Always productive to run a jig style leech underneath, or you could do something like a thin min or a slump buster underneath. But a lot of flies there to look at, and don't forget our annelids in higher water. Worms are always productive, you know, as we're kind of coming off into post runoff and through the prime summer months. Fish are very opportunistic on worms and attractor flies of that nature. Again, great look at kind of what our guides are probably going to be carrying over the next several months on the Arkansas Freestone, but understand that many of these patterns will be very, very productive flies for you, regardless of where you're fishing in Colorado in the prime time of summer. All right, you folks. So I hope taking a look at those great patterns gives you a good idea of kind of what to be prepared with as we plan some days on Colorado's longest gold medal river, the Mighty Ark, in summer prime time. Do just want to recap that, you know, we are currently in runoff. The first week of June is this recording date. but we're just trying to prep everybody for what's coming in post runoff into the last few weeks of June through July. Most of these patterns and most of these rigging techniques and kind of approaches to the river will be very valid as we move through July. And so revisiting this, as you get closer to your trip date to come out to the Arkansas, that will be key for you. Just, remember what we've talked about earlier in the video, focusing on fishing the edges, fishing softer pockets, really focusing on heavier structure, understanding your limitations weighting wise, although this year we should have some very, very easy weighting as compared to average water years with a lower snowpack and most likely lower flows. So hopefully all of this info is very helpful to you as we kind of progress into summer prime time here, into that fishing a barrel time period. Please do call us with any questions, email us with any questions. Our toll free is 888-994-6743. info@royalgorgeanglers.com is a great email to use. We also have our great chat line on the website at royalgorgeanglers.com. Of course, all the flies we've talked about today are available along with 900 unique patterns online, and very quick shipping, free shipping over 50 on anything. Of course, we've got a fly shop packed full of great items, from sportswear to rods, reels, tackle. We've got the brand new Hatch Icon landing just in a few days. So we've got some really unique stuff here at Royal Gorge Anglers. Really do hope you'll stop by, whether you're looking to fish the Arkansas Freestone, need advice on the Arkansas Tailwater, the South Platte, which is, remember, just 50 minutes up the road, and maybe even Spinney Antero Reservoir. We guide all of these drainages. We've got power boats on Antero and Spinney. And so if you're looking for insight to how to be productive, or if you are interested in a guided adventure, just don't hesitate. Call us, email us anytime, or hop on the chat line. We're always available to help. And we really do look forward to meeting you all in the fly shop or on the water sometime soon. Hope this video has been helpful for you, and don't forget to be safe out there and enjoy all of your time on the water or in the outdoors this fantastic summer season.